Come on, mom, 22 grand. I stay dripping on fam. You losing my mind. You come in my mind. You don't like what you'll find. Getting real. I used to spark your seal. That's how I know you feel. I flood your wrist. That's Richard Mill. Ducking the ops. That's Navy SEALs. Hello, and welcome to a new season of Behind the Artist, episode 7. I'm your host, as always, Tyler Tabor. And with me today, we have Colby Worden, singer-songwriter for No Clue, avid Rubik's Cuber.
Yeah, man. Heck yeah. I actually just got a new Rubik's Cube, and it's one of the ones with the magnets in it. Just
Nice.
so clicky. It's so nice.
So nice.
Great to be here, man. I'm really excited.
Yeah. It's really great to have you on. This is our first guest of the new season, so y'all give it up.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So as always, I start my guests off. Take us through your musical journey, man.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm currently in No Clue. That's been a lot of fun for the past 7 or 8 months or so since we really started getting going over the summer. But I've been surrounded by music my whole life. My dad's been in radio for around 40 years now. He started when he was a teenager in Oregon, and he was working for his dad. That's my grandfather. And I think back then he was kind of just doing administrative stuff. He was more or less a secretary, but that blossomed into his whole career, and he's been doing it since then. Like I said, he started out there. He did it out in Oregon for, I want to say 15 years. And then he moved out to the East Coast pursuing a job opportunity. I'm pretty sure that was about 25 years ago. And he's been in the market ever since. So we're from Norfolk, Virginia. He's on the air down there, has been for a long time. He's bounced around to a couple different stations. But yeah, I've just been surrounded by music my whole life. And he, apart from just being in the music industry, in the radio business, he's also a pretty musical guy himself. He sings a little bit. He plays guitar. We have numerous acoustic guitars just scattered throughout the house, so that whenever dad wants to, he can just go grab one and pick it up and start strumming and, just noodling around, doing whatever he wants. Right.
Yeah.
And he definitely fostered a love of music in me and in both of my siblings. I have 2 older siblings, Peyton, who's just a couple years older than me, and Drew, he's approaching his late 30s. He lives out in Oregon. Peyton lives in Atlanta, and both of them are also insanely talented. Drew just has a gorgeous, gorgeous voice. Same goes for Peyton. Drew plays ukulele a little bit. He's played guitar for a long time. And, I was growing up in a household where everyone that was older than me was so invested in music, and they loved music so much. And most of the stuff that my dad has worked with is things like soft rock, mainstream rock and roll, not necessarily soft rock, but his radio station these days plays a lot of classic rock, Led Zeppelin. Obviously you wouldn't call them soft rock, but and then a lot of more modern stuff like Imagine Dragons, alt pop alternative, adult album alternative. So that's a lot of what I was exposed to, but my dad definitely inspired in me an appreciation for all the different forms of music. So, and obviously I've got a lot of friends that listen to very, vastly different genres of music.
Of course,
and through that, I've been exposed to a lot of great stuff. So generally I think I have a pretty wide base of stuff that I listen to. It's not all just soft pop. That's probably my niche. I love John Mayer. I love Jeremy Zucker. But I some soul, R&B, soft rap, things like that. My sister grew up, she's actually technically my half sister, so we didn't grow up 100% of the time together. She grew up a lot out in Suffolk, so she exposed me to a lot of country music. My brother is insanely soulful, so I feel he sort of exposed me to some more jazz influences and things like that. But yeah, that's a lot of sort of just the background. And then as far as my personal development, I've always been a singer. When I was a kid, a little kid, when I was 5, 6, I wanted to be on American Idol,
Yeah. Oh, we all did. Yeah,
of course.
Sure.
And I would, sing along in the car and sing along with my parents and all that. And then as soon as I could actually join something what's the word? Organized. I joined chorus in middle school, did that pretty much all the way through high school. I didn't do it my senior year, but by that point I was doing a lot of freelance things with friends. We were doing talent concerts and things like that, and just random little things here and there. And then obviously now, like you said earlier, and like we've referenced, I'm in No Clue now, and that's been a lot of fun. Um, we're sort of still in the first year. We've put out
Yep.
some stuff, but we haven't done any gigs. Obviously, the pandemic has made that pretty tough. But
Yeah.
really looking forward to like doing things more constructively with music,
Mhm.
because it's just been such a big part of my life, such a big part of my upbringing. It's kind of weird to think like I feel so blessed and so lucky for all of the privileges that I've gotten in life, and in a way all of that is due to music, because my father, who paid for my education, put me through a great school, um, he's made the bulk of his living from being on the radio. So it's sort of weird to
Yeah.
think like music is sort of responsible for my dad's livelihood, and as a an extension of that, like all the privileges that I've gained are kind of from music. And
Yeah.
I swear, dude, I don't go anywhere without earbuds in my pocket.
Uh,
Like I need to
yeah.
have music
Yeah.
with me at all times.
It's this little itch that you get, man. It's not. I don't even think. Not many people, I don't think, have it like obviously like we do, and like people like your dad and your siblings do, where you crave it. Like
Yeah.
creativity is just, it just kind of runs, and like you want to hear new things, you want to try out new things and stuff like that. But a question, you said that all your siblings kind of listen to different kinds of music, and that crossroad really hit with you.
Hmm.
How does that affect the way you view music different from other people? Because I think that you have a very unique like you said, background of like a cross between jazz, a cross between soul, and a cross between the radio hits, the soft rock
Hmm.
hits, and things like that, and then your own niche that you like soft pop like John Mayer. How do you think that helps you in general? Or actually, first, how does that make you feel? Like what things can you take away from that, and then how does that help you with your own music?
Yeah. So one thing, that's a great question. I love like one of my favorite parts about listening to music with like really good like over ear headphones. These are not great. These are just my gaming headphones, right? But
Yeah.
like with like my beats or whatever. I love listening for like nuances in music and picking out like
Mhm.
individual parts of a song where I'm like, oh yeah, that sort of like reminds me of this genre.
Yeah.
And I really like songs and artists more generally that clearly like incorporate a lot of different influences, and their songs don't all sound the same. Obviously that's not something that you want to go for as an artist. Like people will get bored of that. And I love like having been exposed to all these different genres. I really like truly enjoy listening to songs and like trying to pull out and like tease apart the little nuances of the songs.
Yeah.
um and the way I think that translates into my own music is that like I feel like every song that I am interested in making, I think to myself like, which influences have I not really utilized lately? Or like maybe I'll be I go on these kicks where I'll listen to like one album religiously for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Hmm.
And then after that, like I still listen to it. It's just like not every single time I get in the car, right? So I'll like draw inspiration from whatever album I'm listening to at that point, and that sort of can lead into the beginning of the songwriting process. I'll think to myself like,
Yeah.
how do I channel this artist in whatever song I'm trying to write, or whatever like melody I'm thinking of. When we actually start making this song, like which instruments would lend themselves well to this kind of style.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, I really love like having a diverse base of influences so that not everything sounds the same. I think that's the biggest impact, that like having such a wide range of influences from my dad, from my sister, from my brother, and even from my mom. Like my mom's not super musical, but we listen to music a lot. She's not like very musically talented necessarily, but we
Hmm.
listen to music all the time.
Yeah.
um and she's exposed me to some other things as well, and I think that like the songwriting, and as far as like just wanting to pull from different influences so that not everything sounds the same. I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest like effect that these all these different people have had on like my songwriting process and how I view music.
Yeah, I really feel like that concept of just pulling and teasing things out and putting it into your own. I think that's like a something that's been really important since I think 2010. I think that music has like evolved into this like just melting pot of just different things. And labeling a genre, I mean, it is easy to label a genre, but it's not easy to pick out everything that's in it. So like, I guess an example would be like how um I guess this is a bad example, but Lil Wayne doing a rock song
Mhm.
wasn't that great, but it was still like, oh, it was a complete rock song with rap all over it.
Yeah.
Or like Kendrick on To Pimp a Butterfly had like jazz chords all
Mhm.
throughout the thing, and you can feel it, which is it's a different feeling, you know. You don't get that from like normal rap, like Lil Baby or something like that,
Mhm.
or like normal songs like that, I guess.
Yeah.
Radio hits, I guess.
100%. Dude, I listen to a lot of Post Malone. That's one artist that I didn't mention earlier that
Mm,
I love
mm.
Post Malone. And that crossover he did with Ozzy Osbourne and Ty Dolla $ign,
Yeah, yeah,
one of my
spicy.
favorite songs he's made. No, no, no.
Oh wait.
On the last album, it was oh my god, the song's escaping me right. It's the one with Ozzy Osbourne. It's like a
Oh,
rock
Ozzy
song.
Osbourne. You said Ozzy Osbourne. I thought you said Ty Dolla Sign. Oh, yeah, it was both of them.
Ozzy and Ty Dolla $ign. I might be missing. I don't think it's Ty. But what's the song? That song was,
No,
regardless of what the song's called, it's escaping me right now.
yes,
But
yes,
like that is just such a great example of what you're talking about. How like these genre, it's not so like, there aren't these divisions
yeah,
between the genres so much anymore. And
yeah.
I remember when I saw that album the first day it was out, and I was like, okay, this must be some new guy named Ozzy Osbourne. There's no way Post Malone is on a song with rock star dude Ozzy Osbourne. And that song, like, I thought that song was good. I didn't think it was like his best song, but it was really cool to see like experimentation like that. I think that's so cool.
I got it. It's take what you want.
Yeah, yeah. Take what you want. And it's not Ty Dolla $ign. Who's the other one?
No, I
Travis
can
Scott.
pull it up. Hold on. Travis Scott. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy collab, but yes.
Crazy collab. Love that collab.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that, like definitely just a lot of influence. Like Travis Scott using Tame Impala, getting them in the studio to record Skeletons is just a dope thing to see music grow.
Definitely.
And to break down the barriers. So like I think it was, I mean, a couple months ago, somebody asked me, they were like, is Post Malone like a top 10 rapper to you? And they used the word rapper. And I said, you think he's a rapper? And he was like, yeah, he's a rapper. I was like, no, he's an artist.
Yes.
And that's
100%.
like, that's just what I think music is growing into. Like there's a bunch of artists. You're not a rapper, you're not a soft singer, you're not a loud belting singer or anything like that. You're just an artist. And I think that really rings true today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, I know for us, we're trying to break any molds. I think that is like our biggest no clue thing. Like we break so many molds. We're trying to be as versatile as possible. Like everything that we do, we try different genres and we do it well. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not just a trade of one. We like to be a jack of all trades, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I love about our group is that, like, I feel like, I mean, we've all been going to school together for so long, and I feel like y'all are still introducing me to new, and we've been like good friends that whole time. And I'm still like hearing about new music and new artists from y'all. And I have very different musical influence. Like I listen to a lot of like Hozier, which I don't know how much like the other guys in the group listen to that, but that's like another influence that we could incorporate into our music. And I love that. And
it's cool.
really,
it's cool to see everything come together too.
Yeah.
I wish some people would be able to see. Maybe we'll do that one day. We'll just have a camera in the studio or a microphone in the studio and just listen to how everything just gels and meshes. Every little thing that we do, like influences from rap, influences from soft rock, influences from whatever the hell Alec listens to, and just putting it right. Love you, Alec, if you're listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you just put it all together and it just sounds so good, and everything just sounds so good. But yeah, let's get back on topic, I guess. What's some big takeaways from music for you, like just in life? I know that you've explained like how it's affected your life, but like now that you're going into an adult and you're 20 now and you're going to be 21 soon, and that's a big year, just what can you attribute to music in your life besides the material things, like just you personally?
I would say music definitely defines like chapters in my life. And I can
Mm.
think back to like different chapters. Like specifically, I can tell you like the album, like I said earlier, like I'll listen to an album or like specifically I'll listen to an album
Yeah.
like a ton for like a month and a half or so. Maybe it's only a couple weeks, maybe it's a little bit longer. Um, but I can like whatever was going on in my life when I was like hooked on whatever album,
Mm-hmm.
those are like synonymous with me now. And I know like
Mm.
music is really emotional for a lot of people. And, you know, a lot of people have like that one song that elicits just like so much emotion from like the first time they heard it, what was going on in their life. And I can point to like so many different chapters in my life where I can say like, oh yeah, this is the album I was listening to when all this stuff was going down.
Yeah.
Um, and I think music to me sort of feels like a calendar. It's like what's coming next.
Mm.
And it's not like a 12-month calendar, but it's like, okay, right now I've been listening to a lot of Jeremy Zucker, a lot of Hosier. I've been kind of getting back into AJR. Um, but I haven't really found like that one album that I'm super hooked on right now. So I'm kind of looking forward to like what's coming next. And obviously if I find that within the next couple weeks, then that album is probably going to become synonymous with like this semester as a whole. This is
Yeah.
my third to last semester in my undergrad in college, obviously. So this semester, and obviously, you know, a lot of stuff is still going to be virtual. I don't think I'm going to have any in-person classes, unfortunately. Whatever album I find next is going to characterize the coming couple months. And I think that's really cool.
That's really interesting. And I didn't even think about it like that. Like yeah, I think that a lot of people relate to that. Like I know for a fact, like I remember exactly where I was and exactly the time period of when 2014 Forest Hills Drive came out by J. Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a very influential album to me. And it was freshman year of high school, and it was the summer, and I was getting ready to go out for football, and like that's just like I don't know why, but that's like it brings out that kind of in me, you know.
Yeah.
And like, you know, senior year, that Post Malone album, the mind name, yep, Beer Bongs and Bentleys, and when that came out, that just gives me freshman or senior
year vibes. Yeah,
it just gives you senior year, you know. That's really cool. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and in doing that, like I can sort of thinking back through like the calendar of music that I've listened to and how that's progressed chronologically, I can see like how my tastes have changed and how I've grown as a person, which I think is pretty cool. Like I could probably remember roughly like the music schedule that I've sort of been on dating back to like the beginning of high school, I'd say. And I can like look at that and say like, wow, like that's the stuff I listened to way back then, and how has my taste changed up until now?
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's really interesting, because I mean I know. Well, actually, yeah. Tell us kind of how it's changed throughout high school. I'm really curious. This is just more of my curiosity thinking.
Yeah, so I think beginning of high school. So one thing I forgot to mention during my musical background is that one of the things my dad and I used to absolutely love doing, and we still enjoy doing it, but we used to like actually actively pursue this, is like finding small artists and really like getting behind their stuff. Okay.
I love that.
Yeah, dude, it's so satisfying to find this like hidden gem of an artist that no one's heard of, or maybe, you know, not many people have heard of, just like underappreciated artists that you're like, why are you not more famous? Like what, why?
Yeah, ever since I started making music, I've been actually doing that way more recently, way more now.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
So I would say beginning of high school, I remember I was like super into Eric Hutchinson. He is fairly well known, I feel like if you throw that name out, I'd say like 1 or 2 out of 10 people will be like, oh yeah, I've heard of him. He's not a household name.
I think I've heard of him as well, but yeah.
Yeah, and like every once in a while he's had songs on like commercials or something that you've probably heard, or like I'll hear his songs every once in a while, like I walk into Wawa or something and one of his songs is playing. He hasn't really had like a hit in a couple years, but he's had a couple songs that have gotten some airplay. So that was like Eric Hutchinson. I really kind of like discovered his music in like, I'd say like end of 8th grade coming into 9th grade. And then like 9th grade, I just like went through his discography and I would like grind out his first album. I'm pretty sure his first studio album was Sounds Like This. So that was like a couple months, and a great album, fantastic. And then the next one was Moving Up, Living Down. I know a lot of the people who are watching this probably aren't like familiar with these albums, but I'm just saying like these are the albums that characterize these times.
Yeah.
And then what came out next? I think Pure Fiction came out next, and that one was really good. His more recent albums, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not as big of a fan of his newer stuff, but I still support him. And those 3 albums mainly, Sounds Like This, Moving Up, Living Down, and Pure Fiction. That was like 9th grade into, I'd say, beginning of 10th grade. 10th grade, like the whole fall of 10th grade was AJR The Click. Absolutely love that album. And it's long. I'm pretty sure the base album was like 17 songs, like not the deluxe edition.
Yeah.
And they came out with the deluxe edition like a good bit after the original album came out.
Yeah, it's a huge album.
Yeah, the deluxe is now like
huge.
21. I mean, that has like Burn the House Down, like which a lot of people recognize that song. Pretender, and a couple others. And that song, like since it was so long, that was probably one of the longest like album kicks that I've been on, because I just didn't get tired of it. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's 17 songs.
Yeah, and there's like 17 like full-length songs. I know like one thing that we've really tried to avoid when we're recording our stuff is like, it seems like the new wave in music is these albums that are like 25 songs long, and each one of them is like 2 minutes.
Yeah, no,
I don't really vibe with that. I do not like that.
I've never been a fan of very long albums. I've never been a fan of those. And with short songs, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, but this was like an album that was legitimately like an hour and a half long, hour 45. So I could like, do all of my driving in a day, like drive to school, drive back, hear no repeat songs. I wasn't getting tired of it. So that was like all of fall 10th grade.
Yeah.
Spring 10th grade. I'm not sure if I can come up with that one. I think spring 10th grade, I sort of started like looking into AJR's other stuff. They had one previous album that had come out. The name is escaping me right now, but I listened to that a little bit. I didn't enjoy it as much, but I thought it was good.
Yeah.
11th grade, I sort of went back to another one of the smaller artists that we used to listen to a lot. I rediscovered this guy named Chris Merritt. Are you familiar with his music? I
heard the name.
Yeah.
I can't remember where.
Maybe
I think
for
it might
me,
have been
because
it might have been you.
Yeah, I've never met someone else who's like familiar with him. He's very small, works out of New York.
It could have been you, or it could have been it might have been an Instagram post somewhere. I've heard the name though. It really rings a bell.
Yeah. He's not like a mainstream guy, and he like sort of hates mainstream. So he does a lot of stuff that's just like really interesting and really experimental. Yeah. And I think in 11th grade, I just really latched onto that. I latched onto this style of like, he doesn't care about the mainstream. He cares about like his own style, and he doesn't want to try to be anyone else. He wants to be Chris Merritt. I definitely enjoy
that. That's a lot like the late great MF Doom. He was never about mainstream. He was always about the art of what he was making, which is so nice to hear about artists that just care about that, not about being popular or anything like that. Because when you make the art that you want to make and you're passionate about it, the fame will come, the popularity will come.
Yeah, absolutely. And he, at that point, he's been making music for a while, Chris Merritt. So 11th grade, I sort of, similar to what I had done with Eric Hutchinson, I kind of just went through his discography. And his albums, I feel like, don't really necessarily tell a story so much. So you can kind of listen to like all of his albums just on a shuffle, like put them all on a playlist and shuffle all the songs, and it'll sound good. Because it's not like there's like a cohesive story, right? Which is like not necessarily a bad thing. But that was most of 11th grade. And then 12th grade was Beer Bongs and Bentleys. I fell in love with that album. That album will always take me back to the senior lounge and just like all of us sitting there chilling. 92 Explorer, great album. And that was legitimately like most of 12th grade. I remember like, I'm pretty sure that album came out in the fall.
Yep, it came out in the fall, and then it just took off.
Yeah, and I still vividly remember like listening to that album on the way home from the baseball state tournament games, which
Mm-hmm.
were in May.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just been like grinding that album the whole time. It was
Yeah,
so good.
yeah. I remember actually hearing it for the first time. Just I was in my room and I was just like, wow, like this is gonna be big. Like this is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Have you ever had recently, have you ever had that experience where you just like listened to an album for the first time? I mean, obviously it would be big now, but like, and you were just like, wow, this is gonna be great. Like this is gonna be amazing. Or even like an artist that you were just like, wow, this is gonna be amazing.
It's a
Because
good question. Nothing like leaps to mind, but
mhm.
I remember, like I said, my dad's been in radio for a long time, and Bastille is definitely a band that
Mm,
like fits into his niche of like the music he plays.
yeah.
And I was the first person that played Pompeii for him. And I was like, this
Ah,
song is going to be really good. Like, this song is a bop. And that was back in probably, what, seventh grade, eighth grade? That was in
something
middle
like
school
that. Yeah,
sometime.
but I do remember Pompeii and I definitely remember Bastille. I mean, they're huge. Well, they
Yeah.
were
And
huge.
yeah, they're still doing great. Like, they're,
Yeah, exactly.
Happier with Marshmello. Like, that's a huge collab.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that is Bastille, isn't that?
yeah.
Look at that. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, man. So, like, that was probably the last one where I, like, heard a song, realized it was, like, really good. I played it for my dad. And then, like, 2 weeks later, it was #1 on Billboard.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember the first it was I mean, obviously this was a very hyped up album, but like when Astro World first came out, I was driving my little brother to the Amtrak and like we were just listening. We were like, holy crap, like this is gonna be amazing. Like people are gonna
Mhm.
literally go crazy over this. But artist wise, I remember going on SoundCloud and I remember like just kind of scrolling through because this is when I didn't have Apple Music. And I see this guy named Juice the Kid. And I click on his name, I listen to his music. I'm like, man, I'm not really this depressed, but like this makes me like really, really want to listen. And like it really hooked me. 2 weeks later, there's a guy called Juice World, comes out with Lucid Dreams, same person. And I was like, oh my God, he's gonna be freaking huge. RIP Juice World, I love you, but like,
Yeah.
wow, he was like, and it was so quickly too. After Lucid Dreams had come out, it was a year later. Oh shoot, it was a year later, and it was amazing. It was crazy, but
That's actually wild. I don't think I knew that you, like, found him on SoundCloud before anyone knew
yeah,
about him.
yeah, it was me and my brother actually found out about him going on the way down to Miami.
Nice.
And we were like, what in the world, like this? And I'm not like, I mean, I consider myself, well, now I don't know because pandemic and everything, but I consider myself so like not depressed, but like I get sad sometimes, but like that music just it spoke to me in different ways that like nothing has ever like really spoken to me. Even though I mean, to some people it might sound like just humbo jumbo, but like it's like the real. I think it's the realness of being a teen
Yeah.
is what he portrayed. It was like the realness of everything. But yeah, so anything else that you want to talk about? We seem to have only 9 minutes left. I don't know why Zoom is doing this to us.
um, I'm curious what you think is like the biggest challenge, and this is something that I've kind of just been thinking of like over the past couple days, weeks. Like, what do you think is the biggest challenge for the music industry right now? Or like not maybe not the biggest, but like a big challenge.
I think and I've actually given this a lot of thought. I think it's the repetition is going to be a problem soon. I think that people feel like we've done everything. I think
Yes.
people have feel like that.
I consider that myself.
Yeah, like I think everyone thinks that we've done literally everything that there could ever be done. I do not believe that to be true. I think
Yeah.
there's going to be something that comes through and that just breaks that wall and just throws it out the window, whether that be like just a different voice or just a different style or just a literal crossover. Even though, I mean, we feel like every crossover has been done, but I don't believe that that's yet to be true.
Yeah, definitely not.
There's different ways to do everything. And I think that everyone, especially in the music industry, just needs to let the creative mind flow and really get out of that headspace of nothing else can be done.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. And I think artists like Billie Eilish and like the Kid Laroi are really good examples of that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the Kid Laroi, like, obviously you can tell like he's trying pretty hard to emulate like Juice World. And
He's
that's not
carrying
a
the
bad thing.
torch.
Yeah,
He's carrying,
definitely.
because I think Juice was on that trajectory to where, I mean, I know rap has, ever since X and Juice and Trippie Redd, and not to say that Trippie Redd has that much influence as X and Juice did, but like they were making the rap game into a different, it just sending it into a different space.
Yeah.
And now you get people like the Kid Laroi who's going to take that torch and run with it and really try to combine that singing too, because the Kid Laroi is also has a beautiful voice. If you haven't heard him,
Yeah. Yeah.
actually
No,
sing.
he absolutely does.
Yeah, so like it really, like he's gonna bring that all together and really Post Malone it into existence.
Yeah. And
You
like
know,
to the point of Billie Eilish, like I don't even really know what genre to put her in. I feel like she's sort
there
of
is
her
no genre.
own,
There's absolutely no genre.
and
She's
that's
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I listen to a ton of John Mayer. I love Maroon 5, but certain pop themes like that are gonna get sort of beat to death,
Yeah.
if they're not already, like in the coming years. And I think innovators, like specifically young innovators who like don't care, like you can tell Billie Eilish, like her whole
Does
persona
not
is like, I
does
don't
not.
care at all.
It does
Like
not at all. Like
I don't
not
care
even
what
a
you
little bit.
think. I don't care. Not that she doesn't care what she looks like, but she's not like dressing up for
Yeah,
people. She's
she
not trying to
doesn't.
impress anybody.
I
And
love
that's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
And her style of music reflects that too. And I think we need so much more of that. And I think,
It's a big fu to the music industry.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
a big fu to the standard, to the everything.
Yeah. And I fully understand wanting to emulate celebrities that you look up to. Like everybody does that. Everybody has idols. Everybody like wants to be, every young basketball player wants to be just like LeBron James. Does that mean you need to play the game just like LeBron James? Maybe not.
No.
Because by the time, these young kids get to the league, if they make it that far, people who play like LeBron James is probably going to be beat to death. So it's probably going to be a new wave of, playing.
Yeah.
Obviously right now, like Steph Curry, he didn't popularize the three, but after,
but he changed it. He changed the game. Yeah, he changed the game.
And I feel like we need more people like that in music. I think that is like a huge problem.
I 100% agree. I think the youth movement is definitely upon us. I think it's coming, and I think that there's gonna be probably a couple more besides Billy and the Kid Laroi that are gonna come in and just wreck everything and take down every standard that music has right now and build it back up to something that's amazing. And I'm very excited for it, for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. And I think a lot of the change is going to come directly from younger musicians, but I think it's getting back to what we were talking about earlier. I think that makes it even more cool to see the more established musicians like Ozzy Osbourne doing a crossover with Post Malone. I think that is sort of a great testament to like that. Something like that had not really ever been done before. And that's why I think that song was like really important and sort of like culturally significant, is that like we can have these crossovers and still make it sound like really good. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that, like I said, coming from like more established musicians, Post Malone's been in the game for a couple of years, Ozzy Osbourne obviously for decades. I think that's like a really good thing for kids to be able to look up to and say like, I love Post Malone. I love his music, and he's experimenting. He's doing all this weird stuff with this dude who was, making music way before I was alive.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that we could use more of it.
Definitely.
Older artists into newer generations music. I think that we could really use some more, because you look back, I think 2 examples. I have 4 or 5 Seconds with Paul McCartney, and then you have the Surfaces. Are you familiar with the Surfaces?
Not directly. So I've heard of them. I'm familiar with it. Like,
they have a song with Elton John.
Really?
Yeah. Crazy. He gave him a cosign and everything. It was amazing. And it's a really good song too, if you ever get the chance. I think it's called Fly High. But yeah, it's really good. But I think that is also something that can happen, like it really pushes everything forward. I think that's the biggest thing. We can't get stuck in the sand, because right now we're just repeating ourselves and getting stuck in the sand.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing it forward. Keep pushing the ball forward. That's about it.
And it's so easy to, like I said, look up to these idols, and, Maroon 5, they make great music. They always have, but it's easy to emulate that. It's easy to repeat that. The challenge comes in like ingenuity, creativity, really creating something brand new.
How are you going to take that inspiration and keep the ball forward? Forward. How are you going to take that and push? not be carbon copies. But yeah, that yeah. Well, this was Colby Worden, and it was Tyler Tabor, and it was Behind the Artist Ep.7. Thank you all so much for listening. If you get a chance, check out No Clue, check out Colby singing. My favorite is Dance With Me, where he just absolutely murders it.
Great song.
But yeah, we got a new song coming out called I'll Admit, but I'll save that for another time.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much. Sayonara.
Is this love or is it just lust? Don't know how to tell you that to me it means so much. Running circles around my head, thinking where I went wrong when you left me on red. I guess I gotta move on, but I bet I could take it from him. Would that be so wrong? I'm sure he makes you happy, but I could be everything I think that he's lacking. Dance with me, baby, let's go. I'll start you